He is Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do?
We give the people what they want.
The biggest news story of the day is Drew Brees yesterday said that he does not agree with anyone who would disrespect the flag, and there's a lot of blowback, so he apologized. He said, quote, "I would like to apologize to my friends, teammates in the city of New Orleans, the black community, NFL community, and anyone I hurt with my comments yesterday. In speaking with some of you, it breaks my heart to know the pain I have caused." Well, for this topic, we had to bring in none other than Snoop Dogg joining the show. Thank you so much for coming through, Snoop. We're going to start with Drew Brees. What do you think about him walking it back today? Do you think it was a genuine apology?
I think it was a genuine apology because Drew Brees is one that's known to be a giver. He's been given to that community for a while. He's been a New Orleans Saints. And if you know New Orleans is predominantly black. And he's been contributing with Katrina and a lot of the donations that he's been doing. So I believe he just had misinformation. I don't believe he had the right information on what the cause was about. And he was speaking from emotions rather than looking at the whole picture as far as everybody else's emotions. And I believe that apology was genuine, but I believe his players are going to handle him, though, because that's a locker room thing. I think the black players on this team are going to pull him to the side and give him a real lesson and a real understanding on what it is, so that way he'll have more, understanding on what he's speaking on when he's speaking.
Snoop, so a lot of people actually got angry at him. And if that's how he felt, I wasn't angry. For me, I'd rather know where people stand and own it so we could get towards a solution versus everybody being upset at him and possibly giving an apology that he may or may not truly mean.
Well, our first instinct is to, act on impulse and act off a reaction. So a lot of times, even we, overreact. I'm guilty of overreacting a lot of times, and I ask to be forgiven. So I believe it's an overreaction on a lot of fronts, but he was wrong. I'm not saying that he wasn't, he was wrong for what he said because he was insensitive to what we go through as black people every day, as black men every day, and what Colin Kaepernick was kneeling for. He wasn't kneeling about the flag and the soldiers. He was kneeling about police brutality. If you check all of the files of Colin Kaepernick's first initial kneel and protest, it was strictly a peaceful protest to stop police brutality. And it continues to happen to this day.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because there is the Colin Kaepernick, but, the three of us are a little older than that. We remember Rodney King and that unrest back then, and obviously the unrest from this weekend in Los Angeles. So coming from that perspective, how do you sort of compare and contrast the two over time?
Well, the Rodney King thing was, that was the first time we had footage to show that police brutality actually happens. We was always saying it in raps and speaking on it in the community, but we wasn't believable because we had no footage and we had nothing to prove our case in court. But once that footage came out and then it went to court, to an all-white court where they found him not guilty, that sent the black community in an uproar. So it was like we had to do something. And I was a part of that movement because I felt like if I didn't say nothing or do nothing, it was going to continue to happen. And through those movements and actions that we did, we made steps to get better with the police enforcement. We made steps to get better with interaction. And I just feel like this is the next step. This death of George Floyd, rest in peace, is a terrible incident, but it's going to bring some resolution because look at the conversation now. Look at how people are understanding what's going on and they want information. And if they don't know, we check them and get them in line quick, fast, on a hurry life.
Thank you for always using your platform to be a voice of leadership and reason, even when it's unpopular. And I know you saw multiple athletes and entertainers getting involved in the movement after the death of George Floyd and the new I Can't Breathe movement. How important is it for people to lend their voices now more than ever?
Well, it's important if it's in you. If it's not in you, it's really not important. But if it's in you, it's something that you thrive to do, something that you wake up and you want to do. It's not by accident that the big name athletes and the big name entertainers and rappers are coming together and speaking and using their platform. Don't nobody call us and ask us to do it. We do it because we feel the feeling. And it's contagious. And once you feel the feeling, it spreads. And one thing about people, once you put something in the air and it's good for your heart and your soul, eventually it catches on. And love is the only thing that can kill this hate.
Well, Snoop, we really appreciate your powerful words on this subject, but we got to talk to you about another subject. The Los Angeles Lakers, okay? We now know, it has been confirmed. We know what teams are going down there to Orlando. We know a little bit about the format. So my simple question to you.
He's so excited, got his smoke in the air and everything.
What team do you feel is the biggest threat to your Lakers of the 22 down in Orlando?
The Lakers. We are our biggest threat. We ain't worrying about nobody. We got to take care of our business. If we take care of our business and do the things that we need to do as a team, we don't worry about them. From watching that Last Dance documentary, it helped me understand the dynamics of getting ready for championship basketball. You can't worry about the other team. You got to worry about yourself and make sure that everybody's clicking on all cylinders, making sure everybody's healthy, everybody's communicating and loving each other and being there for each other. And I think that this rest time got us right physically, mentally, and it sharpened up, our skills as far as being able to say that, okay, now let's look at the big picture. We ain't been in the playoffs in 6 years. We don't even know what this feels like no more. But we got a driver like LeBron James that don't know what it feels like to not be in the playoffs. So this is a different thing, and we just got to follow his lead and look at AD and look at the coach and look at the whole situation and say, let's take advantage of this Florida trip. This is a trip to bring home that chip.
Absolutely. And Snoop, so I've lived in LA since 94. Jacoby lived out there. You the OG, 10 toes down since day one. Can you please speak to the casual fan that believes now that they have Kawhi Leonard and Paul George and they get in the new arena that the Clippers can one day be the team of Los Angeles? Can you squash that for me, please?
Well, first of all, I got to give a shout out to Paul George, to Patrick Beverly, Doc Rivers, Kawhi Leonard, the whole Clippers team. Them are little brothers. And I love the way they've been doing their thing and the way that they putting the feeling back in the air and, doing what they're doing to make basketball entertaining. But there's one important piece of the puzzle that you got to have in order to really walk that walk and talk that talk. And that's those banners that they cover up every time that they have a home game. Because it is what it is. Yeah, and it's a whole lot of covering up because they're everywhere. You know what I'm saying? So that's why they need to get their own arena so that way they can start their brand new. And if they do get a banner, it'll be there by itself and not lost in the shuffle with all our banners.
So he just reminded me of something. Do the statues be out there when they playing?
The statues don't
move. Moving the statues. They don't move the statues.
Jalen, that statue don't know how to walk.
No, so my memory ain't the best since you started sending me packages. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Jalen's about to be on one of those statues. Jalen's about to be in Kobe's statue getting a jump shot scored right over him during the 81-point game.
I got a question, though, Jalen Rose. I got a question for you, Jalen. I played with Tupac, with Biggie, with Nipsey, some of the greatest to ever do it. You played against Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant. That's the equivalent to me being with the greatest rappers. What is that feeling like knowing that you played with some of the greatest to ever do this and you competed on a high level against them?
And Snoop respectfully got torched by them and saw their greatness. Like in The Last Dance, everybody was enjoying MJ's greatness. I'm watching it like we was up 15 in the second quarter. This dude laying on the couch with a pop belly smoking cigars in the locker room. We should have beat them. That's what I'm thinking. And for a guy like Kobe, it was just so great to play against MJ in his final chip and Kobe in his first chip and watch how he ascended. And it happened, I think, in game 4 at Indiana when he hit those 2 jumpers in OT and he did the get down and lay down, looked over at Phil Jackson, and everybody started doing it. And obviously the time he scored 81, he put the smack down on our Raptors. And the great game that I still see footage of you scoring 60 in his final game. How does a dude score 60 points in his final game? Snoop, what was that atmosphere like?
Man, we knocked the Jazz out the playoffs. That's the part that people keep missing. They was on their way to the playoffs. So they didn't lay down. They wasn't trying to give Kobe 61. They was really trying to go get that extra paycheck. But Kobe was like, look here, man. Tonight's the night. And the fellas kept feeding him the rock. When you getting fed the rock like that, you know how to handle the rock. Man, that zone gonna turn on and it ain't gonna turn off. And he went to work on it. one of the greatest nights I ever seen.
No, Jay, I got one more question for you, because you talking about Jalen going head to head with some of the greatest to ever do it, and during the quarantine, these versus battles have been heating up, and you're one of the greatest to ever do it. Who would you like to go head to head with in a versus battle during the pandemic on Instagram?
Whoever wanted with me. Because you know me, I stay locked and loaded. I got 20 bangers ready to go anytime, all the time. I ain't finna call no names because they know who they is and they know who
there's
I
only
am.
There's only a handful. There's only a handful that would be a legitimate contest.
It need to be
a handful.
It need to be a heavyweight fight. This ain't no middleweight or no featherweight. This need to be a heavyweight fight.
This is just like what we were saying about LeBron and Kobe and MJ. They're only so Snoop. We really only talking about like 3 people, really. So you just narrowed it down for us, really.
I'm all in. Swiss Beats, Timberland. I'm all in. Get me in the ring. I get out with anybody. I have no clauses. The only clause I know is Santa Claus.
Swiss up.
Snoop, I want to say thank you so much for coming through on Jalen Jacoby. You are welcome to come back anytime. We appreciate you so much for taking the time. We'll be back.
Y'all gave
just
the
2 minutes.
What they want today.
Dogg for coming through. We have exclusive content with Snoop Dogg on our podcast. Make sure you listen to that. And Jalen, we've been doing this show a long time, and all the years we've been doing this show, you've always had a picture on your side of the studio behind you, and that picture is of the what is known as the Ali Summit, which is very important during the current climate now, and it happens to be the 53rd anniversary of that very important day in Cleveland. Why do you always want that behind you?
Because my favorite athletes of all time are in the same place at the same time, being politically, socially relevant and conscious. That is the Ali Summit, when Muhammad Ali refused to go to the military, and in order to do so, forfeited his career for 4 years, including his championship belt. And the gentleman sitting next to him on his left, that's Jim Brown, the greatest lacrosse player and running back that football has seen. And the other guy on his left, that's a young Lou Alcindor. And on the other side, that's Bill Russell, the greatest champion that sports has seen. And all of those guys made it possible for us to be more than just jocks.
Well, Jalen, one thing I want to say is I'm so proud to be your partner here in this program, because you didn't just put that picture behind you in the last week or so. You have had that picture behind you for the entire run of this show. And in the same theme, I found this tweet very interesting by a gentleman of the name Mikey Williams. You may not know his name yet, but you will, because he is one of the top prospects going into his senior year in high school. And he tweeted he's going to an HBCU wouldn't be too bad, ... Jalen, do you think in today's society, a top prospect like him would forego going to one of the classic big basketball schools and join an HBCU team?
Not only is it going to happen, it should happen. And I hope Mikey Williams is really the first modern day athlete to do so. There was a time when the great players and high draft picks like Earl the Pearl Monroe actually went to HBCUs. And now all of a sudden, with players being able to benefit off their name, image, and likeness in the NCAA, with G League and overseas now being an option, with the coronavirus and a pandemic, you're not really knowing what's going to happen to the normal landscape of collegiate basketball, I would definitely consider it if I was a player. And also, let me just tell you this. You will have so much more fun, Mikey. It ain't even close.
Thank you so much for that insight, Mr. Rose. When we come back, we know the Wizards are going to come back and play NBA basketball, but will John Wall? Jalen will tell us right after this. Stick around. 2 minutes. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. The Woj has confirmed the 22 teams that will be headed to Orlando to play real NBA basketball. It is the 16 teams plus some extras, only one extra from the East, and that is the Wizards. And I ask you this, Jalen, with the opportunity to play their way into the playoffs, will we see John Wall play for the Wizards come late July?
So I saw an interview with him saying that he was healthy. And then I looked down at the standings and realized they were 9th in the conference. And I asked myself, if I was him, would I come back during the coronavirus amidst a pandemic after I've been out for so very long with such an injury? The answer is no. So therefore, I don't believe we see John Wall this year after all.
Dan Lebitard is next. Thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you listen to the podcast. I want to thank Snoop Dogg for coming by as well.